Israelites, possibly numbering 3 million, could never have survived in this barren region. As Moses told them on the plains of Moab, "Watch out for yourself that you may not forget Jehovah your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slaves, who caused you to walk through the great and fear-inspiring wilderness, with poisonous serpents and scorpions, and with thirsty ground that has no water, who brought forth water for you out of the flinty rock, who fed you with manna in the wilderness, which your fathers had not known, in order to humble you and in order to put you to the test, so as to do good in your after days." 8. 11-16. Wilderness in the Greek Scriptures. Here the Greek term eri-mos corresponds generally to the Hebrew mid-bar. Luke 15. For it describes the wilderness setting of John the Baptist's preaching Mount 3. One and the lonely places into which a certain demonized man was driven. Luke 8. 27-29. Jesus, after being baptized, fasted and was tempted by Satan in a wilderness region. Mount 4. 1. Compare Luke 16. 20-22. During his ministry, at times Jesus retired to the wilderness to pray. Luke 5. 16. He assured his disciples, however, that his presence with kingly power would not be limited to some lonely wilderness, but would be made manifest everywhere. Mount 24. 26. The wilderness still had its own special dangers when the Apostle Paul made his missionary journeys. 2 Co 11. 26. Compare 21. 38. Figurative uses. The wilderness regions to the east of Palestine were also the source of fierce hot winds now called siroccos, from the Arabic word shaqwiya for east wind. These winds blowing in from the desert have a tremendous parching effect, absorbing all the moisture. Text to acute miritra longo. Wilderness of Judah 1186. Opposition to God's kingdom arrangement. The enemy nations, such as Babylon, Egypt, Edom, and others, were to undergo a similar experience. Particularly Babylon was singled out as due to become a waterless wilderness and a desert plain, uninhabited, forgotten in her desolation. Job 50. 12-16. Job 3. 19. Zep 2. 9, 10. By contrast, the restoration of Judah, after the 70-year exile, would be like converting a wilderness region into an Edenic garden, with fruitful orchards and productive fields watered by streams and rivers, and with reedy plants, leafy trees, and blossoming flowers, or making the land appear to rejoice. Isaiah 35. 1, 2. 51. 3. Individuals. Similar references to individuals show that such prophecies apply primarily in a spiritual, rather than a literal, way. Thus, the one trusting in men rather than in Jehovah is likened to a solitary tree in a desert plain, with no hope of seeing good. But the one trusting in Jehovah is like a tree planted by the waters, fruitful, luxuriant, secure. Job 17. 5-8. These contrasts also provide the basis for a mental picture of what constituted a wilderness region. Wilderness of the sea. The wilderness mid-bar of the sea at Isaiah 21. One has been understood by some commentators to be an expression referring to the southern part of ancient Babylonia. When the Euphrates and Tigris rivers only overflowed their banks, this region became as a wilderness sea. In Revelation. In the book of Revelation, the wilderness is used in a dual sense. To represent solitude and refuge from attackers in the case of the symbolic woman who gives birth to the royal male child re 12. 6, 14. And to represent the home of wild beasts in the case of the symbolic woman Babylon the Great, who rides the seven-headed wild beast. Re 17. 3-6, 12-14. Wilderness of Judah. See Judah, wilderness of. Wild goat. Sea goat. Willow heb. Zaf far. The name of this tree in Hebrew corresponds to the Arabic saif, which is applied to the willow tree. There are two types of willow growing in Israel. One is designated by the botanical term Salix alba, but the most common is the Salix acmophylla. The Hebrew word occurs only once, at Ezekiel 17. 5, where the symbolic seed of the land, evidently referring to Zedekiah, is figuratively planted by the king of Babylon as a willow by vast waters. The willow trees are found along the banks of rivers and shallow streams and in other moist places, where they sprout quickly from cuttings or slips and grow rapidly. They never attain the height of poplar trees, but grow as shrubs or small trees and often form thickets along the watercourses. Their beauty is in their slender long leaves, hanging gracefully from the slender twigs and branches. Wind. The Hebrew word ruach, often rendered spirit, can also denote air in motion, wind. EC 1. 6 other Hebrew terms and expressions may be translated storm, wind, hoat. 7. Tempest, whirling temperature 25. 32. 23. 19. Tempestuous wind, and windstorm PS 148. 8. 2 Chi 2. 11. Although at John 3. 8 Noimar generally translated spirit means wind, the Greek term mos is the more frequently used designation for wind. Mount 7. 25.